What's up everybody, Jack here from HalfChrome, and these are the Walksnail Goggles L by Caddx FPV. And these are pretty awesome because of the price point. They're less than $200, about $199. But before these, you had to spend quite a bit of money to get a set of goggles, or to get goggles and a VRX to go with it, still fairly costly. Now, for 200 bucks, you can get a pretty decent set of goggles. Okay, before I get into these goggles, let's talk about the state of digital FPV in the hobby right now, and it's actually pretty darn awesome. So these are my Walksnail goggles, but they're not the only HD option. There's of course DJI, and DJI by all accounts has the highest quality in terms of an image, picture, and a handful of other things, but they also are the most expensive, and it's not really even close. Walksnail was basically developed, pretty sure, as a fork from the DJI O3 stuff, and it's also really darn good. Prior to the Goggles L, we had the Goggles X, which are really nice goggles, but also fairly expensive. And of course, there is HD0, which has the best latency, but the picture quality isn't nearly as good as either Walksnail or DJI. And there is also the Open IPC FPV system, and that is really kind of a work in progress. I've tested one of their units, and I was impressed by the quality, but there are still some kinks to work out there. And of course, there's good old analog if that's your jam, but even a nice set of goggles like these still get fairly expensive. So it is really cool to see that Walksnail put out a $200 goggle. Now, I'm pretty sure that DJI is also releasing an inexpensive goggle, as is HD0, but those are still in the works. And right now, this is the best inexpensive HD goggle you can get. I mean, the goggle itself is very basic. We've got a box style design. We've got 3 buttons over here on the right side. We've got an input for power down here. It's going to take 2 to 6S. And we've got a port here. I believe that's an audio jack. We can put a head tracker unit to that, or I believe it also will output audio. Now, head tracking is really cool. I've never done it with Walksnail, but I have done it with my Ibotta and with my Neo. So your image coming out of these goggles is going to be 1080-60 or 720-60, depending on which one you choose. I actually prefer going 720-60. You're going to get a better latency out of that. And they say latency is fast as 32 milliseconds, and it is going to kind of depend on the situation flying in. It is a single screen, and actually let me go ahead and plug in a drone here so you can kind of see the image in there. It's not really going to show up super well because they kind of have that lens in the middle that kind of splits the image to your eyes, but it is a very crisp and clear signal. Up to 4 kilometers, that's kind of impressive. Now, I don't ever fly that far away, especially FPV, but it's good to know that you have that transmission distance. It does have a slot for an SD card. It kind of is down here underneath the foam, so you got to kind of note that. And a lot of these Walksnail drones, you can just record on the drone itself, and that's going to give you a better picture than the quality coming through the goggles, right? Because it has that transmission to deal with. But it is a good idea to record your flights in case something happens, you crash the drone, you're going to be able to go back and look at that footage and find a quad. As I put these on my face, I've worn these a little bit. They're not the most comfortable. I just don't find box goggles to be super comfortable because they're so long and heavy. They kind of rest on my nose, and you have all that weight out here in front. I like the more expensive. I like the more expensive low profile goggle. They just fit your face a little bit better, like these, like this Goggle X, right? It's not nearly as wide. It doesn't have that weight out in front. Just a little more comfortable, but it is, of course, more expensive. It's awesome to see that we have this option. Now, just kind of note, like, these are not compatible systems. So if I buy this goggle, then I have to be using Walksnail or Caddx FPV cameras and systems that are designed to use with this goggle or the Goggles X. Anything that will fly with this, or I can view with that. But I can't use this goggle and something made by DJI. I cannot use this goggle and analog. I can't use this goggle and HD0. I can only use Walksnail stuff. Now, if you want to learn more about how these systems compare, I've done that video. I'll put it in the link down below. You can check that out. That's something you have to decide, right? This is, a little sit-a-whoop that I have that has Walksnail. I have a 5-inch quad somewhere laying around here with a Walksnail system on it. I even have this Whoop with Walksnail. You're not going to get that with DJI. So if you really want the best quality and you want the ability to put something really small on a drone, like a tiny Whoop, this is a 75 Pro from Favorite FPV. This is the smallest real good HD signal quality that I think you can get, right? There are some heavier drones with the O3 system, and there are, of course, plenty of HD0 Whoops, but this one's pretty solid and really the only one that I can think of the real Walksnail system on it that doesn't weigh a ton. So at the end of the day, it's an excellent option if you're thinking about getting into digital FPV, and it's awesome that we have a low-cost goggle. Hey, thanks for watching. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.